Here's something most men never realize. Women operate on an emotional frequency that many guys don't even notice exists. Every reaction, every pause, every shift in her energy carries meaning. But because men misread the signals or miss them completely, they end up confused, frustrated, or blindsided. Imagine if you could finally see the patterns behind her behavior, the emotional logic underneath what looks like chaos, the truth behind her tests that has nothing to do with drama and everything to do with safety. In this video, you're going to discover the top 7 female weaknesses every man must understand. These aren't flaws. They're emotional triggers that determine whether she respects your presence or slowly disconnects from it. Miss them, and you keep losing the frame. Learn them, and you lead the relationship quietly, confidently, without force. Most men think control means overpowering or dominating. But genuine control is internal. It's emotional awareness. It's remaining composed when her feelings spike or the situation turns messy. That's when leadership shows. When you grasp this, you stop scrambling or reacting and instead begin guiding the dynamic. This isn't about changing women. It's about upgrading yourself, your mindset, your responses, your emotional intelligence. Because leadership isn't loud. It's strategic. If you're ready to step into that version of yourself, hit subscribe, like this video, and drop in the comments. From today, I lead with composure. That single sentence marks the shift. Keep watching, because what's coming next lays the foundation every man must understand if he wants her respect and trust. Number 1. Emotional sensitivity, her core operating system. Many men see a woman's emotional responses as unpredictable or overwhelming. But that's the first misunderstanding. What men usually label as emotionally reactive is simply communication in a language they were never taught. Women interpret life through emotion first, logic second. That doesn't make them fragile. It makes them intuitive. Emotional sensitivity is her radar. It's how she feels the meaning behind your words, your tone, your silence. So when she reacts strongly to something that seems insignificant to you, it's because her internal signal system registers emotional shifts long before your logical mind does. Men listen for content. Women feel for connection. When she says, "You never listen," she's not accusing you of ignoring a sentence. She's expressing that her emotional message isn't landing. And when that happens for too long, she starts detaching, even if you think everything is fine. Most men respond with explanations, defenses, or quick solutions. But logic doesn't soothe emotion. Presence does. When she's upset, she wants to know her feelings aren't being dismissed. She wants presence, acknowledgement, grounding energy. That's what emotional fluency looks like. Not surrendering your frame, holding it steady so she can regulate through yours. A man who masters this becomes rare. He becomes a leader in the emotional space, not by giving in, but by guiding. When she feels safe opening her emotional world to you without being judged or minimized, trust forms. Her guard lowers. The storm becomes rhythm. Emotional sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's the doorway to her loyalty. Once you stop treating her feelings as obstacles and start seeing them as information, she stops resisting your direction and moves with it. That's the moment you stop reacting like the average man and start leading like the one she's been waiting to trust. Number 2, her need for attention, the emotional currency she values most. Attention isn't vanity. It's affirmation. It's how she feels without words that she matters to you. Every woman, no matter how strong or independent, wants to feel seen by the man she invests in. When your attention fades, even slightly, her heart senses the distance long before she speaks on it. Many men think attention means compliments, gifts, or constant praise. But real attention is presence. It's the energy you give when you're fully tuned in. It's how your focus settles on her even when life is chaotic. You can sit beside her yet make her feel invisible if your mind is elsewhere. Neglect doesn't always show up as cruelty. Sometimes it's silence, distraction, monotony. When she begins feeling unseen, she might not directly tell you. Instead, she'll shift subtly coldness, short responses, a change in tone. Most men respond with confusion. Why is she acting like this? The answer is simple. She doesn't feel valued. Her emotional system is asking one question: do I still matter? To her, attention equals emotional safety. And it doesn't require dramatic effort. A thoughtful message, a lingering moment of eye contact, noticing her mood before she mentions it. Small, consistent acknowledgments build trust faster than any speech about love. When men fail to maintain presence, distance creeps in. She stops sharing, not because she's changed, but because she no longer feels the connection is alive. Attention is the signal that keeps the emotional channel open. A man who can stay focused in a world full of distraction becomes rare and magnetic. A woman who feels seen becomes your ally. One who feels invisible becomes defensive. Master presence and you master connection. Because love doesn't disappear suddenly, it fades the moment you stop seeing her and start overlooking her. Number 3, fear of rejection, the silent engine behind her tests. Every woman carries a hidden fear of being replaced emotionally. It's not always visible. Sometimes it's masked with confidence, humor, or indifference. But that fear influences many of her reactions, especially the ones men interpret as drama. She doesn't test you because she enjoys conflict. She tests because she needs to know her emotional world is safe with you. Each test is really a question. Will you stay steady when I'm vulnerable? When a man becomes inconsistent, distracted, or withdrawn, her instincts activate. What appears to you as overreacting is her emotional memory checking for danger. Past experiences get triggered, moments where she trusted and got hurt. To her, emotional distance is a threat. This is where most men fail. They take her fear personally, get annoyed, or pull away to teach her a lesson. But withdrawing only feeds her deepest insecurity. You don't calm fear by creating more distance. You calm it with consistency. A grounded man reassures through behavior, tone, and reliability. He doesn't debate her emotions. He outlasts them with steadiness. Masculine consistency eliminates fear faster than promises ever could. When you respond to her emotional tests with calm strength, something shifts. Her anxiety dissolves. The tension drops. She no longer questions your loyalty because your presence becomes undeniable. She's not trying to control you. She's seeking confirmation that you won't vanish when she exposes her softer side. When a woman feels secure, her tests stop. Not because you dominated her emotionally, but because your steadiness made fear irrelevant. In her world, reliability is irresistible attraction. Number 4. Desire for security, her deepest instinct. Beneath every confident woman rests a quiet need that never disappears: emotional safety. Not money, not status. Emotional stability. She wants to know the man beside her won't crumble when life gets heavy. Security is built on consistency, direction, and self-control. Women are wired to sense stability. It's an old survival instinct. Across generations, her ability to detect who could stay focused under pressure shaped survival itself. That instinct still exists. When she feels your composure, your discipline, your purpose, she softens. She relaxes into her feminine energy. But when she senses unpredictability, aimlessness, or emotional chaos, she shifts into defense mode. She questions not your affection, but your ability to lead. A man's frame is tested most during uncertainty. When things fall apart, when emotions escalate, when pressure hits, that's when she observes you closely. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for resilience. Emotional steadiness equals safety. And safety is where her love grows. Too many men assume strength means controlling her or raising their voice. But real strength is the opposite. Real strength is calm. Real strength is direction. Real strength is the ability to hold your frame without forcing it. She doesn't desire dominance. She desires dependability. When life spins, she wants to know you won't. And that's why security never demands perfection. You're allowed to stumble, to misjudge a moment, to lose your footing for a day. What matters is that your core remains steady. Your integrity must stay unshaken. Your direction must remain visible. Because the moment a man becomes erratic, the moment his energy starts fluctuating without purpose, her sense of peace starts slipping away. Her reactions shift not because she's chasing conflict, but because unpredictability feels like danger to her emotional system. When you offer her genuine emotional stability, everything about her softens. Her defenses release. Her warmth rises to the surface. She becomes more open, more caring, more willing to move with you instead of against you. And you don't unlock that with big speeches or dramatic gestures. You unlock it by showing up the same way, day after day, in tone, presence, and action. That's why consistency is more powerful than any burst of intensity. Intensity flares up and burns out. Consistency builds trust, attraction, and devotion. When you're the man who stays balanced while her emotions fluctuate, her entire rhythm begins aligning naturally with yours. That isn't manipulation. It's quiet leadership. It's the kind of strength that earns loyalty without ever demanding it. And that leads us to something most men misinterpret entirely: emotional overthinking. Her mind's attempt to shield herself. When she begins spiraling into thoughts, questions, and what-ifs, many men assume she's being irrational or dramatic. They see patterns that seem exaggerated, tiny details magnified into huge concerns, and they think she's stirring trouble where none exists. But inside her, something deeper is happening. Her overthinking is her mind's way of scanning for emotional instability. It's not chaos, it's self-defense. Women process emotion like data. They track tone, pace, expression, silence, everything. So when something shifts in you, even subtly, her intuition catches it. Her brain immediately starts searching for meaning. She's not trying to control you, she's trying to understand the emotional signal she feels. To her, this isn't exhausting. It's survival programming shaped by every moment in her past when inconsistency turned into pain. She replays conversations not to nitpick, but to find reassurance she's too afraid to ask for directly. She analyzes messages not to accuse you, but to locate emotional safety. Her mind is stepping in to protect her heart. This is where strong men rise above reactive ones. The reactive man gets irritated, shuts down, or throws out a comment like, "You're overthinking again," which only intensifies her fear. But the grounded man does something entirely different. He listens without panic. He responds without defensiveness. He uses clarity and tone to calm the uncertainty her mind is trying to resolve. Because often, you don't quiet overthinking through explanations, you quiet it through consistency. When you're reliable in action, predictable in presence, and steady in energy, her mind stops scanning for danger because she feels safe again. Overthinking is simply what happens when clarity is missing. Your calm restores that clarity. And the man who becomes her calm earns not only her peace, but her admiration. From there, we step into another emotional pattern many men overlook: her need for validation. This isn't vanity. It's emotional nourishment. No matter how confident a woman appears, she still needs to feel valued by the man she gives her heart to. Not flattery, not performance. Genuine acknowledgement that communicates, "I see you. I appreciate what you bring into my life." Validation isn't weakness. It's connection. Men often misunderstand this and think validating her means losing dominance or becoming overly sentimental. But real validation strengthens your leadership. Because when a woman feels valued, her insecurity fades. She stops questioning her worth. She stops seeking proof that she matters. Her loyalty deepens. Her emotional presence stabilizes. When validation is missing, her behavior shifts. She asks more questions. Her tone changes. She becomes unsure of her appearance, her effort, her place in your world. She's not fishing for attention. She's trying to refill an emotional tank that's running dry. And dismissing that need only widens the emotional gap between you. But the right kind of validation doesn't require grand gestures. It's subtle, intentional recognition that lands at exactly the moments she needs it. I appreciate you. I noticed what you did today. I'm proud of how you handle things. These small lines, delivered with calm confidence rather than desperation, can reset her entire emotional atmosphere. Too much validation creates dependency. Too little creates insecurity. But balanced, sincere acknowledgement builds emotional steadiness, something every woman thrives in. When she feels seen, she becomes peaceful. When she feels invisible, she begins shutting down. Validation isn't manipulation. It's emotional leadership. And now we reach the final challenge, accountability. This is where emotional maturity truly separates strong men from boys. The struggle with accountability isn't unique to women. It's a human struggle, but it shows up differently for her. When emotions elevate, logic doesn't lead. Feelings do. And when her feelings are activated, taking responsibility can feel like admitting vulnerability, which to her mind equates to emotional danger. This is why arguments can loop endlessly. You're focused on the facts. She's focused on how the facts felt. You're talking about events. She's talking about impact. The more you push your logic, the more her emotions push back. Not because she's manipulative, but because she feels exposed. Her instinct tells her to defend her emotions before she can reflect on her actions. The solution isn't to overpower her emotionally or to prove yourself right. The solution is leadership, steady, composed, grounded leadership. When conflict rises, your tone becomes your greatest tool. You can escalate the storm or absorb it. A raised voice means you've lost control. A steady voice means you're in command. Accountability doesn't blossom in tension. It blossoms in emotional safety. If you want her to reflect, show her what reflection looks like. Own your tone. Own your timing. Own your delivery. Not her behavior, yours. You're not taking blame. You're demonstrating strength. When she sees you exhibit calm ownership rather than ego, her defenses fall away. Emotional maturity becomes contagious. She starts to mirror what you model. She learns that accountability doesn't weaken the bond, it strengthens it. Over time, this changes everything. Arguments shrink. Communication becomes clearer. Trust grows. She realizes she can admit fault without losing your respect. She learns that accountability paired with emotional safety leads to connection, not conflict. And that's where the real transformation begins. Because in the end, leadership in a relationship isn't about control, it's about composure. The man who leads with steadiness doesn't chase respect. He earns it. A woman freely gives her trust to the man whose presence makes her feel safe, understood, and valued. You've just walked through the emotional patterns that shape how women think, love, and respond. These aren't flaws. They're emotional codes. Once you understand them, the entire dynamic shifts. You stop resisting emotions and start interpreting them. You stop reacting and start leading. And that's the moment everything changes. When you embody calm, clarity, and consistency, you don't search for peace. You become the source of it. And that's exactly why the strength she carries isn't something you ever overpower. It's something you learn to understand. Because once you see how her emotional world actually works, you stop treating her reactions as confusion and start recognizing them as signals. Every shift becomes information. Every silence becomes context. Every question becomes a doorway into what she truly feels, but doesn't always know how to articulate. That's when you realize something most men never figure out. She's not difficult. She's detailed. Her emotions aren't chaos. They're communication. And if you know how to read them, she stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like a partner whose heart finally has room to breathe around you. This is why emotional overthinking shows up the way it does. It's not a flaw she wishes she had. It's a shield her experiences built for her. When her mind starts racing, when she replays a moment again and again, she isn't trying to find new problems. She's trying to protect herself from old wounds. She doesn't want to assume the worst, but her past taught her that being caught off guard hurts more than preparing for disappointment. So she scans the little things. The tone you used, the way your energy shifted, the pauses that didn't used to be there. It's her intuition stepping in before pain does. And while that pattern can tire you if you don't understand it, here's the deeper truth. She would never analyze a man she doesn't care about. Overthinking means you matter. If she didn't feel anything, she wouldn't feel uncertain. This is where the difference between a reactive man and a grounded one becomes undeniable. A reactive man hears her questions and gets defensive, interpreting her concern as accusation. A grounded man listens without seeing her fear as a threat to his pride. He doesn't try to overpower her emotions. He helps regulate them. He chooses steadiness over frustration. He chooses patience over panic. Because he understands that reassurance isn't weakness. It's emotional leadership. And nothing quiets her storm faster than a man who remains calm while she sorts through the waves inside her. She doesn't need you to fix her thoughts. She needs you to stabilize the space her thoughts are moving through. That's why behavior often matters more than words. Consistency speaks a language her heart understands immediately. When you show up on time, when your tone stays warm, when your effort matches your promises, her mind begins to exhale. Slowly, the habit of searching for danger fades. She doesn't overthink because she's needy. She overthinks because she's human. And the moment she feels emotionally protected, her mind stops fighting battles that no longer exist. Safety softens her. Clarity centers her. Your steadiness becomes her peace. And that need for steadiness is the same reason validation matters so deeply to her. Not silly praise. Not exaggerated compliments. Just genuine acknowledgement. When a woman feels recognized, really recognized, a weight lifts off her heart. She stops questioning her place in your world. She stops wondering whether her presence has meaning. Validation isn't about inflating her ego. It's about feeding her emotional oxygen so the bond between you stays alive. When it's missing, doubt starts whispering where certainty used to live. She begins asking for reassurance not because she wants attention, but because she wants alignment. Her questions aren't insecurity. They're signals that something inside the connection feels unbalanced. But when validation is offered with calm confidence, everything changes. She relaxes into the relationship instead of bracing herself inside it. She opens instead of tensing. She stops performing and starts being. And the man who can offer that kind of grounded acknowledgement gains something rare, a woman whose emotional loyalty becomes unwavering. Not because he demanded it, but because he nurtured it. Balance becomes the anchor. Too little validation creates distance. Too much creates dependency. The right amount creates harmony, the kind that doesn't require constant reassurance because it was built on truth, not pressure. And that same harmony is what makes accountability possible. Accountability isn't something you drag out of her. It's something she steps into when she feels safe enough to face her own emotional reflections. When conflict rises, Her first instinct is often to protect her feelings, not defend her logic. That's why the harder you push, the more she resists. Not because she's avoiding responsibility, but because she feels threatened by how the conversation makes her feel. She's not fighting you. She's fighting the fear of losing emotional safety. A mature man doesn't try to win that moment with volume or sharper arguments. He wins it with presence. His voice stays steady. His words stay intentional. He owns his part first, not to take blame that isn't his, but to demonstrate strength without ego. That disarms her. That invites her into accountability instead of forcing her toward it. She mirrors what she sees. If she sees calm ownership, she follows it. If she sees emotional chaos, she matches it. Emotional leadership doesn't shout. It guides quietly until both people soften enough to reflect honestly. And that reflection changes the entire relationship. Arguments shrink. Communication sharpens. Trust deepens. She realizes that admitting a mistake doesn't threaten the relationship, it strengthens it. She learns that emotional honesty won't lead to rejection. She learns that accountability is not punishment, it's growth. And she learns it because you modeled it, not because you demanded it. This is the core of emotional mastery. Not dominance, not superiority, leadership. The kind that transforms emotional confusion into connection. The kind that turns tension into understanding. The kind that builds love instead of breaking it. When you embody that, you stop chasing respect. She offers it willingly. You stop searching for stability. You create it. And in that space, both of you grow into stronger, wiser, more grounded versions of yourselves. So as you move forward, remember this. Emotional strength doesn't come from knowing every answer. It comes from staying composed while you learn. It doesn't come from controlling her reactions. It comes from mastering your own. That's where real masculine power begins, not over her, but within you.